Nabanggit niyo yung importansya nung arbitral victory natin sa Permanent Court of Arbitration in 2016. Parang literally na-imagine ko kayo yung may nagpapakalat ng fake news dyan. Ito yung decision, kami nanalo. Pero alam nyo, honestly, pag inoobserbahan ko yung nagiging diskurso di umano sa social media, miski yung arbitral victory na yun, parang tinitwist ng ilang mga kababayan natin to apparently favor China. I mean, what do you say to that?
Yeah, in fact, sabi nga ng isang pro-China, alam mo, they're even more Chinese than the Chinese. Itong mga pro-Chinese Filipino sa bayan natin, they're more Chinese than the Chinese. Kasi ang China, they never said that the arbitral award did not strike down the 9-dash line as a claim to resources in the South China Sea. They never said na the tribunal did not invalidate the claim of China under the 9-dash line for maritime resources. Pero yung mga Pilipino na kumakampi sa China, sinasabi nila the 9-dash line, the arbitral tribunal did not invalidate the 9-dash line even as to the maritime claim. Kasi dalawang dispute yan territorial dispute and maritime dispute.
Yeah.
Yes. So sabi ko nga, they are more Chinese than the Chinese. They're more popist than the Pope. Because yung China, ayaw na nila, they don't want to say that. Kasi klaro naman talaga, it was invalidated as far as the maritime dispute is concerned, no? Yun ang nakakalungkot kasi sumosobra sila. They're even more Chinese than the Chinese.
Actually, na-imagine ko itong portions ng ating interview, mapumunta na naman kung saan-saang websites, magiging meme na naman, and then papalabasin kayo nagpapakalat ng fake news. Tapos, syempre, pipitikin din yung inyong lingkod. No? I mean, naiisip ko lang yan.
Di ba, sabi nila na I was lying daw when I said that the arbitral award struck down the Chinese claim in the South China Sea. Kasi they quoted a portion of the arbitral award that sinabi ng tribunal, we are not using striking down the 9-dash line as far as the islands of the South China Sea. As far as the territorial dispute, island is a territory. As far as the territorial, tama naman because maritime dispute lang So sinabi nila yun. Hindi raw it was not struck down. Hindi nila dinidifferentiate. From the very beginning, dinidifferentiate ko yan Tsaka when I speak of the South China Sea, the claim of China in the South China Sea, yung maritime dispute yan.
Tsaka tama ba, yung territorial dispute, of course, hindi naman siya isa-settle sa Permanent Court of Arbitration. Saan ba siya dinadala po ba? Sa International Court of Justice?
Kasi yung territorial dispute, there is no treaty where countries gave their consent in advance to the submission of the dispute to arbitration. Kasi all states are sovereign. So an international tribunal cannot acquire jurisdiction right away unless the sovereign state agrees. There must be a consent. Ngayon, doon sa UNCLOS, when you become a member of UNCLOS, you give your consent in advance. In case of any dispute in the future, you already agree in advance that you submit it to arbitration, compulsory. But that's only for the maritime dispute. Sa territorial dispute, walang ganyan There is no treaty like that except in the Pact of Bogota in South America. Nagkaroon sila ng treaty na kahit na territorial dispute, we give our consent in advance. Pero outside of the Pact of Bogota in South America, wala. So before we can sue China on the territorial dispute, normally sa ICJ yan, sa International Court of Justice, China must consent. China will never consent.
Okay,
Oh.
nagets ko yung basic difference, 'no. So, kailangan talaga may consent ng two contending parties. Kasi kaya ko po naaalala yung ICJ, 'di ba, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a time na, I think this was during the 70s, the Philippines was willing to bring the issue of Sabah, yung portion of Sabah na pinag-aawayan ng Pilipinas at Malaysia sa ICJ, and it was Malaysia that wasn't willing to bring the case there. Tama po ba?
Tama yan. Both parties must submit it to voluntarily to arbitration. Uh, pero dito sa maritime dispute, nagkaroon ng UNCLOS. So if you ratify UNCLOS, you give your consent in advance to any future dispute. Walang ganyan sa territorial dispute.
Okay. Ito pala, ano pa yung nakikita niyo pong implications nito? Kasi kanina binanggit niyo early during our discussion na yung India nagagalit, and binabasa ko rin yung mga articles na lumabas because of this 2023 edition of the Chinese map. Talagang galit yung mga nasa India, and we know na matagal na rin nagigirian yung China at saka yung India. When it comes to implications, hindi ba, what exactly is the game of China here? And isn't China courting or courting more wrath coming from its neighbors by virtue of this?
Yes, dami magagalit dyan, no? Kasi, uh, of course, ang tawag dyan, cartographic aggression. Cartographic invasion. At saka, that's flexing of muscle, no? So yung pero sa India kasi very tense yan kasi that's a land, that's a border dispute eh. They're facing each other eh. Sa border eh. So that's a very sensitive issue. They've gone to war already in 1962, and recently nagsusuntukan sila, no, kasi may rules sila na no bringing of firearms pag nagmi-meeting sila o nagkikita sila. So nagsusuntukan na lang sila, but still the soldiers die, no. So it's a very emotional issue there. And these are nuclear armed countries, no, so it's very dangerous kung magkagera sila doon. So uh, uh, malaking area ang involved doon sa Arunachal Pradesh. It's almost parang a fourth of our land territory, about 62,000 square kilometers involved malaking area ang pinag-aawayan.
Okay. Now, ordinarily, kung merong isang bansa na nagbabrandish ng, ito yung bago mapa namin, so 10 dashes na yan, ha? So, yung maritime waters ng mga nakapaligid dyan, amin yon, base dito sa mapa namin. Ubra po ba kung ang response sa mga apektado mga bansa ay kumbaga tawanan, hindi, nakakatawa yan, no? It's a big joke. The joke is on the person or the country brandishing that bogus map. Pero ang tanong ko po, this is no ordinary country. This is the second biggest economy in the world. This is China. I mean, can we afford to take that collective attitude toward that?
Hindi kasi you have to tie this, no, yung China doing it incrementally. In 2021, China enacted the new China Coast Guard Law, di ba? Nagkaroon sila ng bagong Coast Guard Law. Sabi nila, yung Coast Guard namin is authorized to use their weapons to fire on foreign ships that fish, that exploit, that explore within the 9-dash line. So, for the first time, nagkaroon sila ng batas at pinaalam nila sa buong mundo na yung Coast Guard nila may authority to fire their weapons on foreign ships. And a few weeks ago, they used that authority. When they water cannoned our supply ships to Sierra Madre, BRP Sierra Madre, that's the implementation of their new Coast Guard law. Ngayon, linabas nila itong mapa. So talagang sunod-sunod itong ginagawa nila. They want to counter the effect of the arbitral award, no? So dapat niyan, we should oppose this, no? Kasi China is doing it incrementally. Pakonti-konti yan. Pero pag if you lose your patience, matatalo ka. So you really have to fight them for every step of the way. So we oppose this at saka kaya sabi ko nga yung ginawa nila sa Ayungin Shoal, we should bring that to the UN General Assembly, no? Kasi that's a violation of the UN Charter.